Welcome back to Black and Classic Podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Monet, where we talk all things politics and pop culture.
Blackness, that black power, that black pushing them to identify with black culture. I think that's what you're asking. I have no.
So, you guys, I am so excited to be sitting down and talking with you guys. I think I've kind of, for the most part, solved most of my technical difficulties. So, I hope this episode goes well and I can get it out to you guys because it has been a nightmare, okay? It has been a true nightmare. But I'll spare you the details and we're going to jump into our recap. So, last episode, to be quite honest, I didn't know how it was going to be received just because typically I've gotten into the flow of doing a visual and it just didn't happen. So, I was like, you know what? We're going audio only because I missed you guys. I wanted to talk to you guys. So, I said, whatever, we'll go audio only. And I don't know, people seem to enjoy it, which was great. A lot of you did, reach out, comment, and just say that the channel is growing, which it is. I'm happy about what the momentum we have going. So that's great. But listen, my YouTube family, we here. We here. TikTok. TikTok don't too much understand what we got going on over here in our YouTube community, okay? So I posted a TikTok and wow, the people surely did let me have it, okay? Let me tell you. So first up, the comment that I wanted to point out was by Sadistic Lil Ho, which that's a name all in of itself. But Sadistic Lil Ho did say Mandis Owens is just projecting, in my opinion. Now, I found this quite funny because we've seen Mandis Owens carry a baby. We've heard her talk about her birth stories. So I don't know how she could be projecting if we've seen her as a biological woman carry a child. I'll just say that. And you can infer what that means. Okay. Next up, and this next comment I just picked out of the others because it was like a common idea or comment that everyone had. So Fiona Gillen said Americans with the laughing emoji. Literally everyone knows about the age difference. Speaking of Brigitte and Emmanuel. So she's saying everyone knows about the age difference and how it started. They are going to sue her, saying Candace, into oblivion. So I found it weird that everyone said, they're going to no, they said that everyone already knew. I found that very strange because if everyone already knew, then there would be no reason for people to be shocked by this information. I don't think Candace would be being sued if this was just something that was known. Like if it was fact, why would people sue or why would people tune in to this series? So I'm going to go back because this was quite a long time ago. And I definitely want to pull up how many views that got since it was just common knowledge. So when Candace began this Brigitte series, her introduction had 4.8 million views. This was 6 months ago. It had 4.8 million views. Part one, or episode one, I should say, had 5.5 million views. And at the end of it, the epilogue had 2.4 million views. So I don't know if I would say it was super common knowledge. And then you put Americans with the laughing emoji, meaning Americans are shocked by this. So that also means that it wasn't literally everyone, because clearly there were people in the world who did not know. And that is what we are now, finding out and researching and things like that. So I just thought that was interesting. A lot of people were saying, she deserves to be sued. She's trying to stay relevant. I don't know how that could be. The girl's really never under 1 million views. So I don't know how she would be trying to stay relevant, but that's neither here nor there. I just kind of found it interesting that everyone said, well, everyone already knew this. Well, if everyone already knew, why would it be millions of views? Why would they be reacting? It'd be kind of be like they could just go out and do a press conference and say, hey, we understand what Candace is doing. This is old news. We've talked about it on this date, on this date, on this date, on this date. So this is not new to us. It's just very unfortunate that she would go out and bring up something so old that the public is already aware of. They didn't do that. So, hmm, interesting to say the least. But we're going to move on from that. And now we're going to jump in to our local news. So, I feel like this is just an ongoing story because, we're in Trump's administration, so we're just going to always hear about it. In Connecticut, ICE arrested 65 undocumented immigrants in a 4-day sweep. And it was very interesting because this operation involved ICE Boston Hartford field office. So this was the FBI, U.S. Marshals, DEA, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, all of these different things. And I wanted to bring this up because previously, if you guys remember, we did talk about Connecticut expanding their, let me get the right word. So I always say truth, and I think it's trust. Yes, the Trust Act, right? So Connecticut expanded that Trust Act. I think we've spoken about it a few times, I'm pretty sure on this channel, where it was basically like, unless this person has done something diabolical, the local law enforcement, they're not going to help ICE, right? They're just going to be like, hey, figure it out. Because their thing was, we're trying to protect people who are, for a lack of a better term, good citizens or like good residents, good Connecticut natives. So the idea was, we don't want to break up families. We don't want to lose the trust of, these illegal immigrants and things like that. Now, the Trump administration is saying, no, 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 no. This is interfering with our, immigrant enforcement and like ICE and things like that. Like, you're getting away by expanding this Trust Act. Okay. So it's quite interesting. I did feel like it was going to happen if they ever got to Connecticut, because I know they were doing raids, but it would be like one person here, one person here. It wasn't like large groups. And now you got 65, right? So they're clearly coming in kind of heavy into Connecticut. And I think Connecticut put a target on its back because they decided to have this Trust Act that was basically like, no, we're not going to play ball and just allow you to come in and sweep up all these undocumented immigrants and break up families and arrest people and, put people in places where their family has no idea where they are. The people who are taken have no idea where they're going. You know what I mean? And so Governor Ned Lamont told the Department of Justice on Tuesday that his administration would not amend its immigration policy, speaking to the Trust Act, despite threats of funding cuts and criminal charges. Listen, the last thing, because we've talked about it here, right? The last thing Connecticut needs is for their funding to be cut, because we talked about it, right? Connecticut slick broke, right? They're kind of broke. So the last thing they need is for their funding to be cut. So I feel like at some point they're going to play ball and they're going to kind of package it in a way where it's like, we're not complying, but we're keeping our money, right? Like, we don't want our funding to be cut, especially if you're not willing to tax the rich, and then you're going to lose state funding because you don't want undocumented criminals and things like that to be swept up. I don't know. So I think it will come to a point where Trump definitely is going to, like, if they're not going to make good progress and it's going to be difficult, they're definitely going to cut that funding. Like, Trump's not going to have no issue with that, to me. And that letter or that response actually came after U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi sent out a letter basically being like, here's your deadline to change what you got going on over there. And then Lamont was like, yeah, that's cool, but I'm not changing anything. Strong stance, strong stance. But I don't know. With the threats of, federal funding being cut, and we do see that Trump is willing to do so, I just don't think this is a hill you need to die on. I do believe that you can repackage the Trust Act. It already kind of gives them the ability to come in and get, you know, the criminals and things like that, but I think it needs to be repackaged just a little bit better so that ICE can do what they need to do, but it still is like, okay, but comply with these guidelines, you know? So we'll see. Because then fast forward, right? ICE arrests 7 people at a town in Connecticut called Newington at a car wash. And what I found kind of shocking about this one was that they were arrested and the Newington mayor had no idea. The local police office had no idea. They were just like, okay, these people are gone and no one has said anything. And the mayor of Newington is now trying to figure out where these people are, where were they taken? Just who, what, where, when, and why, basically, because ICE came in, took 7 people and kept it pushing with no notice. Now, here's the thing, right? I don't know, my nose always runs. It's so crazy. But here's the thing. With the Trust Act, they didn't the local law enforcement didn't have to help them if there was basically like no outstanding criminal situation that they could be like, okay, this person has a warrant, so where are they? So I feel like ICE is like, look, if you're not going to be helpful, we're not going to tell you what we got going on. You know what I mean? I think they kind of treat it as one hand washes the other. And if you're not willing to be helpful, then look, we're just going to do what we got to do and we're going to keep it moving. So it's definitely going to be a tricky situation because I don't think you want to necessarily, like, I don't know how they decide who is who and what names are what, but I don't want it to get to a point where because Connecticut and, different towns and local law enforcement, because they're being so resistant, that ICE just comes in and just starts sweeping people up, right? They're just sweeping people up. They don't care. They're just sweeping people up. Like, we're going to get you and we'll figure it out later if you're legal or not. But we're coming in and like, okay, maybe we got a tip that they're illegal. Cool. Like, let's just sweep them up and we'll figure it out later. I don't want it to get to that point. So I think although the Trust Act sounds good, like I said, there needs to be some type of cooperation and guidelines to where it's like, yeah, we are getting these illegal immigrants who are criminals, who are, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, human trafficking, whatever they're doing. We need some type of protocol, some type of guidelines, some type of SOP, something in place where I help you and you help me, and we can get the job done and we can move on the orders that we were given. But one side can't be resistant and the other side can't just go bulldozing because it's just gonna get messy, unfortunately. So it's definitely something that I am watching out for when I see stories about ICE arrest these people and ICE arrest this group of people and mentions of the Trust Act and things like that. I do watch it because it is very interesting. It is something that Trump himself ran on as far as definitely, focusing on immigration. So it's just something to look at. And if it's happening where you are, take a look, okay? Definitely understand what's going on because you never know, you know what I mean, how it could impact you. So definitely pay attention to that. Now we're going to move on to our headlines. Speaking of immigration, Trump ordered for the wall to be painted black. Okay. So Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announced Tuesday that per President Trump's orders, the entire US Mexico border wall will be painted black to discourage illegal immigration. Why? That was my only question. Why? Okay, cool. I think the wall before was like a rusty orangey brown color. Cool. In the dark, I'm gonna be honest with you, everything kind of looks black, right? Like if you're in the middle of nowhere and you see nothing, everything looks black. So painting it black doesn't mean anything because if you know the path to get to the wall, whether it's black, blue, green, or purple, you're still at the wall. And if you were able to get over it before, you're going to be able to get over it whether it's black, blue, green, or purple? So it just didn't make sense to me. I guess he felt like people wouldn't know where it is, but it's a wall that's been standing. They're going to know how to get to the wall. If it's black, it's black. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not like it's an invisible fence where it's like you get here and it's gonna, kill you or electrocute you. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's black. I can still feel it. I still know it's there. I'm sure they know how high it is. So it's like, what was what was the point? Like I don't know. Sometimes I think Trump and his administration just do things. Like they don't think it all the way through, and we will see that as a theme as we go through our headlines, but okay, you painted it black. Okay. Unless it was glow in the dark, babe, I don't when it's nighttime, everything looks black. Like I don't I just didn't understand. It was such a weird thing to like again, like choose to do. Like, okay, Trump, you painted the wall black. Congrats. I guess. Moving on. This next topic really got the people talking, okay? It really, really got the people talking. Trump's CEO is stepping down as customers turn away. That's a headline from CNN. So, Brian Cornell is stepping down after 11 years as the retailer's CEO. Of course, we all know Target's boycott is happening. And I will say, okay, I will be quite honest, I was never a big Target girly. I will be honest. When I was in high school, a Target opened up in my area. It was all the rage. Everyone loved going to Target. And yeah, I would shop there and things like that. But the older I got, it was just like, I felt like people were just going so they could feel bougie and so that they can feel kind of like an elitist, right? Like they look down, and we know it's true. They look down on like, oh, you shop at Walmart? You shop where? Like, oh, I shop at Target. Okay, girl, like you're paying more for the same product that I got at Walmart, but I guess it makes you better because it's at Target. Like, I don't know. It was just so weird to me. And when I realized like how different the price was, oh babe, no. I was never never going to Target. Like, I'm not going to Target to pay 12.99 for some Dove, and then when I go to Walmart, it's 8.99. All because I can say I got it at Target? Please, like, no. And so what I found funny is that now that people are boycotting Target, their competition, Walmart, Amazon, where else did they say? Costco, all these places are seeing an increase, right? They're seeing growth because a lot of you realize, especially in the state of this economy, okay? A lot of you realized, oh, I really didn't need to be shopping at Target and other places have better prices. And not for nothing, I mentioned TikTok at the top of this episode. A lot of people are now going into Walmart and being like, oh, they got cute clothes. Oh, Walmart has this. Oh, Walmart has that. It's like, yeah, Walmart isn't this like, is it a little chaotic? Yes, it's massively chaotic. But at the end of the day, you're going to get a fair price for the goods that you need. Period, point blank. Okay. The goods that you need, you're going to get a fair price. It's not going to be overpriced. It's not going to be ridiculous. Like, no, you're going to get a good price for the goods that you need, especially like your, home and your beauty stuff and things like that. Yeah, you're going to get a good, your fair price or whatever. Is it going to be long lines, one cashier and self checkout? Yes. Yes, it will be. But you paid a good price. You paid a good price. So the CEO is going to be stepping down. He's going to be filled by the chief operating officer who had been there for 20 years, started as an intern. I just wonder what direction they're going to go in now because I feel like Target's biggest issue was not addressing people's concerns, right? Because it wasn't like they were the only company that got rid of DEI. They weren't. But like Target was like, okay, we got rid of it, and so what? Right? Like they kind of played in people's face to be like, yeah, we got rid of it, and so what? You still gonna love shopping here. And I think that was their biggest mistake to treat it as a like you're still gonna love shopping here. That was the problem. Like, oh no, no, no. Don't forget, before people shopped at Target, they did shop at Walmart. And in the state of this economy, people are not too ashamed to go back to Walmart now. Okay. This wasn't 2020 when everybody had their PPP loans and their unemployment and people was cashing out. This ain't them times. You understand? Like people are paycheck to paycheck needing to make their money stretch. Okay, so that 12.99 Dove, it's not gonna work no more. It's not gonna work no more. Mm-mm. They can go down to Walmart and get their emergency stuff, or they could buy it on Amazon or Costco. Costco, they could get it in bulk. Okay, if they got family kids, they could go to Costco, get it in bulk. If they don't need it right away, or it's something where it's like, let me just get a few different items, they're gonna go to Amazon. If they're just out and about and they pass a Walmart and they need toilet paper, they just gonna stop in a Walmart. Like they've realized they don't need you. And that is kind of the issue I think that, Walmart has is that, that Target has is they let people realize, oh, we really didn't even need to go there. Like I really didn't need that much of a bougie experience, like Starbucks inside, get my little Starbucks drink and I push my little red cart and walk around. Like I really didn't need all that. Like I'll take my raggedy cart that's making all this noise, barely turns, and I'll just go and get my items. But instead of paying $250, I'm gonna pay 75. Okay. So there's that. And then also what I will say, Brian stepped down, but he's still staying on as their executive chairman. So it sounds like reshuffling to me. To be honest with you, it just sounds like reshuffling. It sounds like, let's put this out. Let's, give them a few things. Watch the campaigns that are going to happen. Watch the marketing campaigns. Watch what they do. Watch who they try to reach out to. Watch what their commercials look like. And the next, like, honestly, I'd say like 4 months. I'd say like Q4. I can tell 3 to 4 months, they're going to really ramp up, especially like Black Friday, Christmas. They're really going to try to get people back into their good graces. And then they might do some reshuffling and Brian might be back or Michael might be out and they just put somebody else in. But I definitely think, they blundered that, right? Because they allowed people to say, "Hey, I don't even need to be down at Target paying 2 and 3 times the price for no reason." Mm-mm. I'll head right on over to Walmart, Five Below, child, Amazon, and I'm not an Amazon girly either. I have never, like, on my personal Amazon account, I have never had a good experience ordering things. Either it never gets delivered or it's always on delay to the point where I'm like, keep it and just refund me. When they're like, oh, we can just refund you because, it said it was going to come 6 days ago, but it's still out for delivery. Go ahead and refund me. Okay. Or it says deliver, never get the item. Okay. Now, when I use my mother's account, no issues. I don't know. I feel like it's a personal attack on me. So I don't too much fool with Amazon, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Costco, I don't have a Costco card. As a single black female who lives alone, I don't need to buy in bulk. Okay. I really don't need to buy in bulk. So there's no need for me to go to Costco. So your girl be right down there at, honestly, I love a good Dollar General. Okay. I'll be honest with you. I love a good Dollar General. And I love Walmart. I've always been a Wally World girl. I used to work at Walmart, y'all. Okay. I used to be a whole department manager at Walmart a very long time ago in a whole nother life. But yeah, Target, you messed up on that one. I hope y'all could get it together. Honestly, I really do. Because it'll just lessen the people that be at Walmart. Send them back to Target. So my next headline, the FBI raids John Bolton's home. So, the Maryland home of former National Security John Bolton was raided Friday morning, this past Friday, and the searches were focused on potential classified documents. Now, John Bolton served as Trump's national security from 2018 to 2019. Then he started coming out saying like some disparaging things about Trump, and Trump's very sensitive. So, that just kind of tarnished that relationship. And according to Fox News, because I was going through different sites, just getting different, like I said, to tell you guys, go to different pages and get different opinions. Um, According to Fox News, Trump said he was not aware of the raid ahead of time and found out about it on the news. Come on. But you know what? Let's jump into this MSNBC clip and we'll jump back.
The FBI has not yet commented on this story. We should note again, we don't know what's happening here. It's a raid. If there are criminal charges that follow, the government will have a chance, of course, to explain their case. But right now, we just know that John Bolton, former national security advisor for President Trump, now turned pretty harsh Trump critic, his home in suburban Washington has been raided. Joining us now by phone is MSNBC Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delaney. He is near Ambassador Bolton's home in Bethesda, Maryland. Ken, let's start. Just tell us the latest of what we know here, and what would the FBI, what would they have to justify a raid like this?
Good morning, Jonathan. I have one update for you. The FBI, in fact, has commented on this. An FBI spokesperson told me, I'm going to read the statement, quote, "The FBI is conducting court-authorized activity in the area. There is no threat to public safety. We have no further comment." And that is generally what the FBI does when there is a visible search of a residence or a business, is they will confirm, because it's obvious to everyone with eyes, that they are conducting court-authorized activity in the area. To answer your question, what would they need to do this? They would need a magistrate judge to sign a warrant after a finding of probable cause to believe that there is evidence of a crime at the location of the search, which is John Bolton's home here in Bethesda. And as you said, a source is telling NBC News that this is about a search for classified documents. So what's the context here? Well, John Bolton wrote a book that was very critical of Donald Trump, and it was sort of a memoir recounting his time as national security advisor called The Room Where It Happened. And remember, the Trump administration not only sued him, but also launched a criminal investigation, which was then subsequently dropped when President Biden took office and Merrick Garland became the attorney general. The lawsuit was also dropped. They were trying to essentially say that he didn't get the required permissions and clearances around making sure there was no classified information in the book. He has long said there was no classified information in the book, but that is one of the possible avenues here for what they could be looking at. Of course, this is incredibly ironic, given the fact that just a few days ago, FBI Director Kash Patel was on Fox Business saying falsely that the search of Donald Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago, the FBI raid, was unconstitutional, was unfounded, that there was no predicate. In fact,
Okay. So all of this, right, stems from this book that Bolton released in 2020 titled The Room Where It Happened. And it's interesting because while I'm doing the research into this, right, Biden's administration also tried to stop this book, stating the same thing as Trump's administration, that the book contains classified documents, information that doesn't need to be released, yada, yada, yada. Now, a judge did find that that was not true. And of course, the book was published anyway. So to me, oh, and then also, Biden's administration was like, okay, we're done. We're not going to kind of investigate this further. And so it's interesting now in 2025 that Trump's administration, I mean, according to him, he had no idea. We'll get to that in just a moment. It's weird that now they're saying again that it's because of classified documents. He has classified documents. Well, if they didn't find anything before, why would you find something now? Like, do you feel like they weren't thorough enough? Because they also, I think, went through his office in Washington. So it's just like, what's the point? Like, he really, really must have ruffled some feathers. I feel like this book should be flying off the shelves because something has to be in there. Like, the man must know something for two administrations to be going after you because of this book, But that's not really where I wanted to go. I got one more clip for you guys because it's just so interesting. Let's play that clip.
Weaponization and politicization by the FBI and DOJ in the Biden administration, dating back to the Obama administration, that led not only to Russiagate, as you opened up with, but to the invasion of Donald Trump's private home in Mar-a-Lago. There was, as we now know, thanks to the federal courts, there was no constitutional basis to do so. There was no lawful predicate to open that investigation. But once you let the politicians run the FBI and DOJ and weaponize it against their political opponents, like they have done for years against Donald Trump, back to Russiagate and to his home, we are now showing and exposing again the weaponization. And to your second point, once we rid, and that's what we're doing here at the FBI, ridding this place of its former leadership structure that did that weaponization, and we're giving accountability to the American people as we find it. As you highlighted, myself, Director Ratcliffe, and others in the intelligence community are declassifying documents at a great rate to publicize what we're finding.
All right. So according to Kash Patel, Biden's administration weaponized, the FBI. What would you call this, Kash? What do you call what is happening to John Bolton? Because to me, it looks like weaponization of the FBI. Because if one team has already went through and conducted the same searches, used the FBI to do the same searches, to go through and look for classified documents, what is different? What is different? I am in a true state of confusion. The Trump administration seems to always put their foot in their mouth. You can't say, oh, well, they do all these things and they raided Mar-a-Lago and they were looking for these documents. It was all untrue. And then a day later, go and look for documents, raid somebody's home for something that has still not been substantiated. I just simply don't understand. It seems as though we're trying to be led to believe something that we know is not true. Like, we just know it's not true. If you don't like the man and you want to give him a long day, cool. At least say that. You know what I mean? In a way that makes sense to the public. But to go up and try to parade around that Biden's administration weaponized, the DOJ and the FBI, and you guys aren't? Come on. We don't believe you. Common sense says every administration that enters into the White House, they're going to use the FBI as their weapon, right? They're little, the little like green soldier men. That's who the FBI are to these administrations. They're like, hey, go and do XYZ over here. Cool. Go investigate this over here, right? They're just little pieces that they move around to take out whatever orders that they need done. And then Trump, a common theme, we'll talk about it next too, a common theme is this plausible deniability of, I had no idea. Who would have thunk it? That happened? Like, Trump, stop. You're telling me all these things happen and no word get back to you? Hey, the FBI is going to go and raid John Bolton's home. I think that would get back to you, seeing how he served as your national security advisor or whatever. Like, I'm assuming that'll get back to you. Anyone who works in a corporate office space, when any type of big meeting happens or, something large takes place or there's some gossip, there's some chitty chat, let's be honest, okay? It gets back to everybody on all levels. It just does. If the meeting happened let's say the meeting happened at 10:30, right? By 5 p.m., everyone top down knows what happened. They know what happened. They know the highlights. They know who said what. Okay, and now they're speculating of what's going to happen tomorrow or when so-and-so gets back into the office, what's going to take place. Like, we know these things happen. We know what the scuttlebutt happens, right? So to really get up and try to parade around this feigned ignorance is absolutely ridiculous. Okay? It's absolutely ridiculous. And they have got to stop this man from saying that. Constantly saying he has no idea is crazy. And then also, let's stop these people from saying things that they are also doing. Just I feel like last episode or the episode before that, we spoke about how I'm pretty sure it was Christy Nome. Was it Christy Nome? One of them people, okay, one of them white ladies over there said, "Oh yeah, the files are on my desk and I'm going to be reviewing them." And then came back and said, "No, no, 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 no. When I said the files, I didn't mean the list." Well, babe, that's what he asked you about. He asked you about the list and you said they were on your desk. Oh, no, 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 the whole files. I didn't say that the list were in the files. Like, stop, okay? Stop, 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 stop. Because the people are listening and the people are starting to pay attention and understand that y'all just be saying stuff. Okay, and they're catching you in all these lies and all this confusion, and they're weaponizing, the DOJ and the FBI one day because they went after Trump and Mar-a-Lago, but the next day y'all go after John Bolton for some classified documents that you're most likely not going to find because, hey, they just might not be there. They just might not be there. And then you might find something, but I feel like, again, making it relatable, you can go to a lot of people's houses in America, okay, and do a search, and they're probably going to have some type of work document, some type of notebook where they took notes on something. And, like me, I have all kind of notebooks. And you might go to a random page where I was in a meeting and I needed paper real quick, and now I'm writing it. I work from home sometimes. So, I might pick up a notebook and be like, "Oh, I'm on a meeting. Let me just take some notes." Like, these things happen, or I bring a piece of paper home because I was like, "Oh, I'll work on that, tomorrow when I work from home," and just leave the paper there, like these things happen. So to me, it's just like, I don't know. It just seems like they're fishing and they're trying to, shake him up again and like just disrupt his world. And it's like, move on, it gets corny when they do things like this and it makes the headlines and it's like, oh, they're going after people for documents. It's like, ugh, move on. Next story. Okay. Now, y'all, I woke up to this news. Ghislaine Maxwell's transcript were released by the DOJ. And what I found interesting, I will say, she was interviewed, I think it was back in July, I believe I read. She was interviewed by Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who, would you know, was Trump's formal criminal, like personal criminal defense lawyer. Then Ghislaine got up on them tapes, okay? What'd she do? Trump never, no. Trump never did nothing wrong. I have never seen him, not with my own eyes. I have never seen Trump do anything wrong. Nothing peculiar. Nothing with no girls. Oh, no. Not this president. President Trump, oh, he never did anything inappropriate. Trump and your DOJ and your people, bring it in. Either release the files as is. We don't need no redactions, babe. We don't need no redactions. Go ahead, release the files as is, or leave us alone. Release them or leave us alone. This releasing these transcripts and the audio as if we were going to be like, oh, well, she said it didn't happen. There you go. She said it didn't happen. People ain't dumb. People are not dumb. And better yet, people lie. Don't you know? People lie. And people lie to save their own ass. That they do. So having this woman vehemently and just so persistently tell us that Trump did nothing inappropriate. No, 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 no. Not President Trump. I never seen Donald do anything hanky panky. He never. Telling us that just doesn't move us. It's not going to get people to stop asking. Actually, it's going to make us look a little harder, because why are you now going so hard to get us to look in another direction? Because first you told us we were idiots for believing the crazy left for creating this whole fake news, right? That's what you first told us. Now you come out and you have your buddy, your good old pal who got you off, go and interview this lady, and you release it, and then it's like, see, told you, didn't do nothing. Stop. I'm telling you, he really thinks we're dumb. I'm not gonna lie to you. They really think we're dumb. They have to. They have to. Because there's just no way that you just do these things as if people are gonna be like, oh, well, guys, she said it didn't happen. So the lists and the files and Trump wasn't there. It just doesn't exist. If that was the case, what you should have did was you should have just shut up and pardoned the girl and said, again, sat down, did a press conference. I know I wasn't there. I have transcripts where she admits that I wasn't there. We're going to let her go. Instead, she was transferred to a low security facility, prison, whatever, in Texas from Florida. And then, again, Trump, plausible deniability. I had no idea, but she met with a really, really great man. Run the clip.
Thank you so much, President Trump. Two questions for you. One, were you aware of and did you personally approve the prison transfer for Ghislaine Maxwell that your Justice Department?
I didn't know about it at all. No, I read about it just like you did.
And do you believe that she is?
It's not a very uncommon thing.
Do you believe that she's credible to be listening to? Your Deputy Attorney General sat down with her recently.
Well, let me tell you, he's a very talented man. His name is Todd Blanche. He's a very legitimate person, very high. I just a very highly thought of person, respected by everybody. And I didn't talk to him about it, but I will tell you that whatever he asked would be totally appropriate. And it's not an uncommon thing to do that. And I think he probably wants to make sure that, people that should not be involved or aren't involved are not hurt by something that would be very, very unfortunate, very unfair to a lot of people. But I will say this, Todd Blanche is one of the most highly respected people you'll ever meet. So I know this. I didn't discuss it with him, but anything he talked about with her or the fact that he did that, not unusual, number one, and most importantly is something that would be totally.
And there it is again. Trump just had no idea, guys. But she met with Todd Blanche, and great man he is. So I guess that closes the book on that, because a great man sat down with her, and yeah, he had no idea, but great man. It's just like, come on. You know what I mean? Like I said last time, you can't piss on us and tell us it's raining. We've had enough. We smell the urine, okay? We've had enough, okay? Like, either tell us the truth, tell us you're never going to tell us the truth, or do what you want to do outright. But trying to play on our intelligence is getting really, really old, and it's getting really, really boring. Really boring. Now, the last thing I wanted to say was she did say in her interview that she did not believe Epstein died by suicide. And I just thought that was so funny because, girl, no one did. No one does. Like, saying that is like being like, is water wet? Like, no one believed it. So cool, you agree with everyone about the obvious? Like, okay, girl, great. Like, it's just so much that is being said to us as if, and then I think, here's the thing. I also believe them adding in the fact that she said she doesn't believe he died by suicide was to be like, see, she's keeping it real. No, she's admitting and stating the obvious. No one believed that. When it happened, no one believed that. You didn't need to release footage to try to persuade us to believe differently. The man, come on. Come on. I think everyone has watched enough of this to see what was going to happen and to know how it was going to play out, you know? So I don't know. We'll see how they continue to handle this situation. I just do believe at this point it's best to just simply release the lady and let us move on with our lives. You know, but I feel like what's going to happen is they're going to just bog us down with so much information about how it just isn't true that it's going to push people to look for the truth, because I feel like she's going to get released and then she's going to do interviews and she's going to get a book deal, and she's going to go from bad Ghislaine who did these terrible things with Epstein to this heralded woman, and everyone's going to want to read her book, and it's going to be a New York Times bestseller and all these different things. And it's like you just keep the people who are bad, like you keep them on a high regard when you just don't out the nonsense. But you don't out the nonsense because then that would be outing yourself. So I don't know. It's such a weird thing. But to me, these transcripts do nothing for us. They do nothing for us. I did not need the transcripts to know that she was going to say Trump did nothing. The girl's in prison, and Trump's is the president. So yeah, I mean, I would get on any interview and say Trump didn't do anything because he has the ability to pardon me for federal charges. So if he pardons me for federal charges, I could be up out of here. Yeah, no, I never saw the man do nothing. I don't too much know nothing about Trump. Did I meet him? Oh, I could have met him that one time. That's what it's giving. Like, come on. Enough. Okay? Enough now. We can end the lies, or we could just say they're going to be lies, or you can just do what you want to do and keep us out of it. Those are your options. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode. Hopefully we can keep this going how it is and we don't got to deal with no more craziness. That's what I pray, okay? Listen, it's a lot that be going on, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. It's a lot that be going on, but I will not give up because I want to talk to you. I want to talk to my people. I want to touch the people, talk to the people, listen to the people. And yeah, like I always say, if you want to debate me, debate your granny. Because I just do not give a fuck. But if you want to have an open discussion, drop a comment below. I'll be happy to discuss anything with you, okay? But keep it respectful because some of y'all be getting a little crazy. Not really on, a little bit on YouTube. Really on TikTok. Y'all be getting too crazy, okay? Keep it respectful. All right. I don't delete comments. Say what you want. I don't delete comments, but mind your manners. Okay. Mind your manners. All right. With that being said, I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.